as well. I want to get this out to as many listeners as possible. Oh, it's Saturday the 8th, isn't it? Is it Saturday the 8th? Saturday the 8th. It's a late night show, Saturday the 9th of October. Saturday the 9th of October. Welcome to Proclamation News and Gatherence. It's with the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at PNG. On a capital P in Proclamation. On a capital P in Professor. On a capital P in Persuasive. On a capital P in Persuasion. On a capital P in Politician. On a capital P in Progressive. On a capital P in Progression. On a capital P in Politician. On a capital P in Parliament. It's Professor Johnson live on air Friday the 9th of October, speaking off the cuff as we move into a new world order. In an orderly fashion, we are actually coming together. Thank you ever so much for coming through. Make sure you subscribe to PNG. Listen to what it's all about. We're taking new people on board, new listeners, hoping that you can join our show. Give us some feedback, constructive criticism. We're looking at the criminology through the UK. Also, we are campaigning for May the 5th as well, everyone. We're campaigning for May the 5th election. A Conservative majority, we're hoping. Hope you guys please do get on board. It's definitely going to be a campaign. I'm live on Castbox FM, live on a channel called Melon. It usually goes live on Facebook, live on Periscope, which is Twitter, and live on YouTube, all from the same platform. But unfortunately, I've got a 30-day ban on Facebook. I've got into a political argument with a lady. If you're male, I strongly advise you not to get in a political argument with a lady, because you always can come off worse off. Yeah, obviously the women's. I don't know why women get support. You get banned. As soon as a man speaks out, he'll get banned, or totally it's domestic abuse or some sort, something like that. Anyway, but yeah, just don't get involved. Don't have an argument with a cat, because cat will scratch you. Anyway, yeah, we've got May the 5th election, so we're looking for a Conservative majority. All the boroughs, all your constituencies where they're voting for chancellor, chancellor in your area, in your constituency. I don't know who's up for which area, but make sure you have a look on your county council website. Criminology, Essex crime. In Essex crime, criminology. A man with a psychomotor state, like a Ferrari turning from 0 to 100 in 6 seconds. A man, 3 men shot as air ambulance lands and police cordon off. 1 man is still in critical condition. This is in Essex. Gunshot. 3 men were shot in Forest Gate on Friday night. 3 men been rushed to hospital with gunshot wounds after an incident near Essex. According to My London, police say 1 man is still in critical condition, while 2 others have been arrested as non-life-threatening. The men were found at Upton Lane in Forest Gate near Barking just before 7 p.m. on Friday, October 8th, with gunshot fire. It's Metropolitan Police. It wasn't actually the Essex Police, just so you know. I mean, Essex Police, do a grand job, but it's almost out of the Essex. I know it's still kind of Essex, but it's a Metropolitan Police area. Barking, Ilford, all that kind of way comes under Metropolitan. London Ambulance Service were called at 6:58 tonight, 8 October, to Upton Lane E7 to report that a number of people were injured. We sent a number of resources to the scene: 3 ambulance crews, 3 medics from our joint response unit, a clinical team manager, and incident response officer, an advanced paramedic. We also dispatched team from London's air ambulance. We treated 3 people at the scene and took all 3 to a major trauma centre. A Section 60 order had been introduced in Newham after the shooting, which applies until 3 p.m. today, Saturday, October 9th. It gives officers increased stop and search powers to try and prevent further violence. The Met Police have confirmed that a strip shooting is not being treated as terror-related. No arrests have been made at this stage. Police are asking for witnesses to get in touch by calling 101, quoting CAD 6941 080CT. Are you enjoying the radio cast? You know, give me a bit of encouragement. Yeah, some acknowledgement. Maybe just give us a, subscribe if you can. Share the live as well. I'd really appreciate, people getting involved, people coming with some critical, critical criticism or constructive criticism, even better, in a polite manner. More than welcome. Talk about, provocations in your constituents. I always look at criminology all the time. Sexual predator who is in danger to women may never have been released from hospital. He targeted 3 women as they walked through the town. A sexual predator who is a danger to women may never be released after sexually assaulting 3 women within 3 days in Southend-on-Sea. Albert Stone attacked a woman last year at the height of the UK lockdown during the first wave of the COVID pandemic. All 3 victims have been praised for their bravery by the police, as without the clear descriptions given by each, officers may not have been able to track them down. The first attack was on a woman who was walking by the cliff steps in the cliffs of Pavilion, but she shouted at him and continued on a walk. The following day, he assaulted a woman who had been stopped to pick up something while walking in the Southend area. Then the day after, he attacked a woman as she walked through Chalkball Park. He forced her to the ground, but ran off as she kicked him out and screamed for help. Each woman was able to give blood. Description of the 30-year-old, meaning police officers were able to link the incidents. He was arrested shortly after the third incident after officers carried out a search of the area. Stone, of no fixed address, was charged by assault by penetration and 3 counts of sexual assault, and despite denying charges, was found guilty on Friday, July 23rd. Following a trial at Basden Crown Court, I cannot understand how disgusting humanity, men can be to go and do something like that. I know women can do it as well to men, absolutely. But this is just, it's disgusting. Why would you feel if you can't get it, don't go and force it on someone? It's horrific. If you can't get it to go out, same with cigarettes, you can't afford cigarettes, don't smoke them. At the same court on Monday, October the 4th, he was sentenced to a hospital order with no restriction of time. Detective Constable Gary Fernan from Essex Police Adult Sexual Assault Investigation Team said, "I want to praise the bravery of the women Albert Stone attacked. These would have been terrifying incidents that they have shown incredible courage. Their descriptions of Stone were vital to us being able to link the attacks and identifying him. Albert Stone poses a danger to women, and I am pleased he is now no longer in a position to do so. He is a sexual predator who targeted women on their own during the national lockdown, knowing there would be a few witnesses to the attacks. He showed no remorse for the attacks, and Essex is safer now. He indigently detained." I just want to say, ladies and gents, I'm overwhelmed for you listeners come through as per usual. Give me some acknowledgement, encouragement to do more for God than I did yesterday. Tomorrow, I'm going to do more for God than I did today. I'm going to say hallelujah, praise God. And I will speak into the Lord's pessimism that it can, I don't know, release. What can he release? He needs to release. He needs to release faith. He needs to release trust. He needs to release compassion. He needs to release love for my brother, my sister. Hallelujah. Praise God. Anyway, only short. I don't pray often. As you can see, I'm not confident in praying. I've never been so good at praying. I can write songs about God. Write lyrics about God. But saying prayers off the cuff, never been able to do it. I've been going to church pretty much all my life. I went to Church of England primary school. Yeah. There you go. James Bond actor Daniel Craig gives 10k to 3 dads at walking. Mr. Airey said he was happy the actor had allowed them to share details of his donation. Film star Daniel Craig had donated 10,000 to 3 fathers who set out a 300-mile walk to raise funds for a suicide prevention charity after their daughters took their own lives. Andy Airey, Mike Palmer and Tim Owens, 3 dads, walking. Trek will see them walk between their homes in Cumbria, Greater Manchester and Norfolk. They are raising money for the Papias charity. They said the donation from James Bond actor was amazing. Mr. Airey said he was happy that the actor had let them share the news of his generosity, allowing us to shoot about. It is fantastic news, especially as he's just about the most famous film actor in the world at the moment, isn't he? He said. The trio, who set out earlier, will be making about 20 miles a day between Airey's home near Cumbria, Mr. Palmer's house in Sale, Greater Manchester, and Mr. Owen's property in Southern Norfolk. They expect to complete the challenge on the 23rd of October. Wrong decision. Mr. Airey, whose 29-year-old daughter Sophie took her own life in 2018, said they had 3 different stories to tell, but each had the same tragic ending. The devastating loss of a daughter to suicide. Daniel Craig has clearly been moved by the indescribable pain, and we are families of suffering and wants to help us to bring something positive out of the utter devastation, he added. Mr. Palmer, whose daughter Beth died in 2020, said being part of the challenge was not a club I want to belong to, but it gives us an opportunity for fight back and maybe make a difference. We hope that by linking 3 homes and telling our 3 daughters very different stories, we will put a spotlight on young mental health. Mr. Owen added they strongly believe that in a moment of darkness, his 19-year-old daughter, Emily, made the wrong decision last year. It's hard to say, unless you're in that perspective and mind, you don't know what's going for that child, in a dark moment of their, I'm not saying this, let's pick on their dad, the father. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what that child is actually going through that moment for them to take suicide. I think it loads of times, millions of times. I've done enough. You want to pull the plug on yourself, let the air out, let the water escape, and just have done with it. Have done with the day. But compassion sometimes stops us, and it might be a day that we all might think that's it, I've had enough, and that is enough. Gone that one step too much. It takes some doing, doesn't it? Must take some doing, must do. But I've got so close. I've got so close because. I was in a bad situation. I still am, theoretically, but trying to live with it, it's hard. Had she taken the time to think or speak to someone, her decision and my family lives would be on another path, he said. Instead, she decided she could no longer go on, leaving behind a devastating ripple effect on her family and friends. If you're affected by these issues in peace, you can find support on BBC Action Line. There's probably loads of organisations, but always keep something handy. Call Samaritans is supposed to be one of them. It might be worth putting it down in your phone book. We can listen to the Conservative Conference with Boris Johnson. Hopefully, it's going to come out loud enough for you. Conservative Conference, Boris Johnson on the UK economy and levelling up. Boris Johnson has told his party conference that his government will get on with the job in uniting and levelling up across the UK. He said that Britain had one of the most imbalanced societies and lopsided economies of richer nations and aching gaps within the regions themselves. This is Boris Johnson of Building Back Better. Please listen in and enjoy. Just loading. I'm still here.
And that is the direction in which this country is going now. towards a high wage, high skill, high productivity, and yes, thereby a low tax economy. That is what the people of this country need and deserve. In which everyone can take pride in their work and in the quality of their work. And yes, it will take time, and sometimes it will be difficult. But that was the change that people voted for in 2016, and that was the change that people voted for again powerfully in 2019. And to deliver that change, we will get on with our job of uniting and levelling up across the UK. The greatest project that any government can embark on. We have one of the most imbalanced societies and lopsided economies of all the richer countries. It's not just that there's a gap between London and the southeast and the rest of the country. There are aching gaps within the regions themselves.
Phenomenal speech there. There's another one. No, I listened to this Pretty Patel one quick. It's 4 days ago. But
recent tragic events have exposed unimaginable failures.
Home Secretary.
I can confirm today that there will be an inquiry.
I know we get a lot of pushback in terms of the fact of the way of the things that the government's rolling out, but it is a whole package that is coming through. There will be real change coming.
Murders of Sarah Abbott. Women's safety, a major topic.
Parents in New York are saying, well, if you get into trouble after police officer, they might be saying, well, actually, that's not who you should be asking. And that is a huge problem in society in a country where we have police focused.
The police have got to get their house in order. I mean, this has been a warning incident which has really corroded trust in the police. They've got to sort it out.
Do you think then that misogyny should be a hate crime or not?
I think that what we should do is prosecute people for the crimes that we have on the statute book. If you simply widen the scope of what you ask the police to do, you'll just increase the problem.
One of the biggest themes coming from women and girls was that they wanted a public communications campaign helping women and girls understand that if, for example, somebody flashes at them, that is a crime. Some of the banter, the so-called banter, that our young women and girls have to put up with in the street is disgusting. And we want to target that sort of behaviour and those attitudes.
How do we collectively now work together to regain the trust in the police force, and what measures do we put in place? We need to be distilling the message. Public figures like myself, like those on the media, need to be putting this message out to women that it is safe to approach a police officer, it is safe to speak to somebody when they receive this sexual harassment.
It is abhorrent that a serving police officer is able to abuse his position of power, authority and trust to commit such a horrific crime. The public have a right to know what systematic failures enabled his continued employment as a police officer. We need answers as to why this was allowed to happen.
There you go. They're back in the Sarah Everard and that police officer that took her life.
There will be
absolutely tragic.
Tragic.
We're gonna
police officers.
What's going on now?
Myself up and down the country will be.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Didn't mean Boris to carry on. Lovely old Boris Johnson, absolutely phenomenal. But we've got to move on. Tributes paid to Tory MP and ex-Northern Ireland Secretary James Brokenshire. Fellow politicians have paid tribute to Tory MP James Brokenshire, who has died at age 53, having been diagnosed with lung cancer more than 3 years ago. Prime Minister Boris Johnson described the father of three, a former Northern Ireland Secretary, as the nicest, kindest colleague. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer called him a thoroughly decent man. Mr Brokenshire, a lifelong non-smoker, stood down as Home Office Minister earlier this year. He died in hospital on Thursday night, having been admitted after his condition deteriorated. An MP since 2005, Mr Brokenshire served in the government under three Prime Ministers, David Cameron, Theresa May and Mr Johnson. House of Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle has ordered the flags in Parliament's New Palace Yard be flown at the half-mast to mark a profound loss to us all. Miss May tweeted, truly saddened by the death of James Brokenshire. He was an outstanding public servant, a talented minister, and a loyal friend. Mr. Johnson tweeted, "It was desperately sad," adding, "James was the nicest, kindest, and most unassuming of politicians, but also extraordinarily effective." Mr. Bogleshire, who was MP for Old Bexley and Sidcup in Kent, resigned as Northern Ireland Secretary in January 2018 following his lung cancer diagnosis, but made a comeback to the cabinet a few months later as Housing Secretary. He lost his job in July 2019 after Johnson took over from Miss May in 210 Downing Street, number 10 Downing Street. Mr. Bogleshire re-entered government as Home Office Minister in February last year, but stood down in July this year due to poor health. Following his death, Mr. Bogleshire's family expressed deep sadness, adding, "James was not only a brilliant government minister, but a dedicated constituency MP. But most importantly, he was a loving father to his 3 children, a devoted husband to Kathy, and a faithful friend to so many." The family also thanked the NHS, including those at Guy's and St Thomas Hospital in London, for treating Mr. Bogleshire with such warmth, diligence and professionalism over the past 3.5 years. They also shared a memorial page on his Twitter feed, which encouraged people to share memories and photos of Mr. Bogleshire and to donate to the Royal Castle Lung Cancer, following his in Leo of Flowers. In the last few years of James' life, James' passion was to help others with lung cancer, preventing others to go through what he did. The memorial page said, describing him as an indefatigable campaigner for better lung cancer screening. After his lung cancer diagnosis, Mr. Bogleshire, a former lawyer, worked to promote greater awareness of the disease, urging people who show symptoms to get tested. Fellow Conservative MP Karen Bradley told the BBC News of her understated friend's death was heartbreaking, adding, "I can't believe I'm not going to be able to sit down with James and, again, have a laugh about the life and chat about the issues that we both cared about. My thoughts are with Kathy and the family, who are just the most powerful family. I'm devastated." Sir Keir Starmer retweeted, "James Bogleshire was a thoroughly decent man, dedicated and effective in all the briefs he held. He fought his illness with dignity and bravery. I'm incredibly sad to learn of this death and send condolences to his wife and children." UK's most senior civil servant, Cabinet Secretary Simon Kay said, "I have the personal privilege of working with him closely over a number of years and admired greatly of his unwavering commitment to public service, compassion." The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, tweeted, "So sorry to hear the death of James Bogleshire, whose courage and faith was an inspiration to so many, myself included, before becoming the Old Bexley and Sidcup MP in 2010. Mr. Bogleshire represented the seat, Hornchurch and Rainham, North East London, for 5 years. His death will prompt a parliamentary by-election in Old Bexley and Sidcup, where he had a majority of 18,952 at the last general election." That is phenomenal work. To get that many people having your vote, you've got to be speaking, doing all kinds of speaking in town halls, in town centres, whatever, sports halls, getting the people's vote, giving people reason to keep his vote. Hang on a sec. Trying to play this film for you. It's not going on.
James was the best of politics and he was the best of humanity. He was my boss who became my friend, and he was someone who was very serious about politics, very serious about the job he did, very ambitious and got to the very highest levels, 2 cabinet roles, but he also didn't take himself too seriously. He was someone who could have a laugh. He was someone who knew a lot about Strictly Come Dancing, knew a lot about The Only Way is Essex, and a couple of weeks ago we were dancing around his kitchen to Nicki Minaj, even as he was incredibly ill, and it was a very, very swift end. It was only a few days ago that he was in hospital. Of course, he'd been battling cancer on and off for about 3.5 years, but I think his legacy will be one of someone who really connected, not just politically, but also with people. And I think Theresa May's tribute and Boris Johnson's tribute but particularly Theresa May's tribute is very heartfelt because he was so loyal to her in the most difficult of political times.
There you go, ladies and gents. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's Proclamation News and Gatherence. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor. If anyone, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to go straight off just yet. If you do want to come and have a chat, let's have a chat. If anyone wants to give me a call and, you know, call in wherever you're calling from over the globe, more than welcome to call in. Please do. You've got Bobby there, Mohammed, Free Conversation Lovers, Tristan, Jibin, Frank, Kirka, B. Schilt, Aora, Benny, Jonathan, Roxanne, Nancy, Amanda, Paul, Joey, Brian, Michael. All you guys are welcome to call in. If you want to have like just debate, have a debate, whatever you want, bring it to the table. Bring it to the table. Try and tackle me with some questions. Maybe ask me some questions about politics in your constituency that I should know about, or possibly won't, because I might not know where you are in the world. But yeah, come through. Please talk about your provocations, things that you struggle with daily. Anything, maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend, they're getting in the way. You know, you need to make sacrifices to get your gains, get your goals. Sometimes it's easy to be single, to make it in life. You know, I don't want to, push you guys out of relationships, because some people can manage a relationship, but a relationship comes with a lot of issues, in relationships. I see them from the outside in. I've been out one really since 2017. I'm not really that bothered, because I'm happy doing this. I'll be happy to do this for the rest of my life if I get left alone. I do want people to get more involved. Just like if you want to talk about your constituency, the criminology in your area, sociological society that you live in. You might live in a high class area where there's no criminology, or you might live in the suburbs where there's narcotic abusers, crackhead mothers, crackhead fathers, alcoholic children in the street, smashing up damaged cars. You're seeing loads of, like Liverpool, they've got loads of them sort of places in Liverpool. In Essex, there's loads as well. Clacton on Sea, Jaywick. There's Harwich, a few places as well. All over the world, there's run-down places and there's higher class places. But please come through, talk to me about where you live. Say, I live in a high class, it's nice posh folk there, never get much trouble. Whatever, say what you want. What do you get up to? Your hobbies, your interests? Can it influence my politics? Your hobbies, interests, can it influence politics? Of course it can. Of course it can. Politics is pretty much in everything. It's like football. When you get to like professional, it's the amount of heads that turn up to watch the game. Is where the politics lies. The economy is moving, isn't it? The more heads turn up, the more economy boost that is making for your hometown. Arsenal, Liverpool, wherever they're playing. And however many people go and support their local team, it's good for the county. It's good for the county. It's good for the team. It's good for everything. There you go. So it is politics. It's all politics. Looking through an outside in from a lens. From an outside in from a lens. Through a lens. In a lens. Out a lens. Looking from the outside in. It is politics still. People I don't like politics. I don't like politics. Watching boxing or whatever. I'm not into politics, but you're watching boxing. Boxing is politics. The guys that are putting themselves in the ring are market society for starters. So it's politics. The guys that are going to war, put themselves at war, is part of a market society. A market society is the politics, economy, how you get the economy moving, isn't it? Absolutely. That's why I am the prodigious, the prominent professor at P&G. I don't know everything, so please feel free to come with your constructive criticism anytime I open my mouth. I'm not afraid to have constructive criticism. Absolutely not. I want to be getting on with people, and I want people to enjoy my show. You know. What else could help you that I want to tell you? Making that change, bettering your circumstances, bettering your well-being, better your well-being. You're doing a manual 9 till 5. You're the typical mother or father in a relationship, or boyfriend and girlfriend. Typical boyfriend and girlfriend. The girlfriend works in just like a local, I don't know, local one-stop. Your joints when you get older. So when you start getting over 40, walking up and down the road to do your job, arthritis in your ankles, in your hands. You know, you got to carry all the you got do stock take. You got to carry all the cold goods and put them in the fridge every day. It's going to start deteriorating your hands. Arthritis, bad back from standing up all day, probably bending down, you know, getting up. Make change. Why don't you make change? Make sacrifices. You might be on universal credit for a little while, but it means you can better your well-being, better your job, better your perspective as a professional. Go and do it. Do adult learning. I highly advise it. I mean, there's a thing called Peabody. I'm not sure where you guys are in the UK. If you're in the UK, there's a thing called Peabody, which is a government organisation. There's a thing called Shore Trust, which is a government organisation, and do a lot of adult courses, beautician, HGV, LGV. They just want people to go out to work. They want people like-minded, like us, working class people. I'm sitting here giving you, you know, I could be here for 30 minutes, I could be here for an hour, I could be here for 4 hours if I really wanted to, but I need a conversation going. It's not easy when you're just talking to yourself. It's not easy to be emotive. I can't be emotive for, you know, emotive and flux with the news, talking to myself for an hour. You know, I'm emphasising all my own stuff now. I'm just speaking clearly off the cuff to make a show up, trying to get some of you guys influenced to get involved. Get involved. I've applied to become a local councillor in my area. Troubleshooting ideas, which I speak to. I do door knocking, a bit like canvassing. Do, you know, see what their problems are. What's everyone's problems in your constituency? Potholes, recycling. Have changed the bus. Letting people on the bus before 9 o'clock. Found that out today because you never used to get on the bus before 9 o'clock with a bus card. They've actually changed it. Let you on the bus before 9 o'clock. Well, the bus driver let me on today. Anyway, because imagine you had to go to a doctor's appointment. You had to go to hospital. The hospital at, I don't know, 9:30, but you want to get 9 o'clock bus, so you make it. He says, no, you can't get on a 9 o'clock bus, mate. You have to come use it after the next bus that comes past. That is such a pain in the backside, you know. That's what it was like a few months ago. I don't know if they lifted it off permanently or it's just today that driver said, go on, just get on. We don't mind. Yeah, it's horrific. Something that needs to be changed. Also, someone in the church suggested, my Anglican Christian church, may I say, this old gentleman said, why don't we put skips in residential areas? But yeah, fair enough. Can the council, in my head, I'm thinking, can the council accommodate the expense? I was thinking possibly, quite possibly not. But what about the suburban areas where they're really run down? They've got, you know, got alcoholics, you got the mattresses on the front garden, you know, the old wash machine sitting out in the back garden. Them sort of places where the run down makes the whole street look tacky. Maybe we could put skip in them places every now and then. Council probably could afford in their borough like maybe three or four skips through the month. I don't know. There might be something they're really doing. So don't count me on it. I'm making the democracy a brighter and cleaner place. I also know there's a lot of voluntary work going for litter picking. places like Country Park. You know, there's litter picking jobs all over. Even at football stadium, they do things like cutting the grass, cutting lawns, doing the white lines on the football pitch. Anything you'll get yourself involved for. Yeah, get yourself out there. Get yourself out there helping. Absolutely, I strongly advise it. I'm hoping. I've got. I'm deep in the thick of my study at the moment, but I do want to do some volunteering in the near future. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, legs crossed, toes crossed. I'm going to get this job that I applied for. I don't want to say too much over here, but the people could be listening that took my interview, so I'm overwhelmed if you are listening. But I don't want to say too much about the job position on here because, you know, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. If I get it, I'll be so overwhelmed. I've worked so hard. This cast box been going for like 2.5 years, and yeah, it's been amazing. Some of you guys I've made really good friends with. I'm not sure if I know any newbies listening, but I've got how many listeners? 16 listeners. Nancy Bell, I think I said one once before in here. Paul, Mason, Nuev, Sarah, Sarah Lover, Mohammed, Aurea, Bill, Brian, Kathleen, Frank, Jonathan Gonzalez, Joseph Sheehan, Joey Fuentes, Tristan Gibbon, Amanda Shizzle, Richard Lonsdale, and Benny. I just want to say thank you so much, guys. You know, like, you come through making my show a lot more amicable, isn't it? When you guys here, makes it a lot more amicable. Absolutely. Yeah, that is pretty much sums up my show. That's all I wanted to do with you guys. Just come through, share a bit of news, and I'll be doing the same again tomorrow. I'll try and make this show a bit longer. Catch you soon. Take care. One love, and have a good evening.